Hi, I'm Gretchen DeFonte, the Assistant City Manager in Batavia, New York. I also serve as the city's Flood Information Coordinator. And we've put together a series of presentations on flood protection for the city. This presentation is the first of 5 in our series. Know your flood hazard risk. If you don't know or understand how your property could be impacted by flooding, you have little reason to be concerned. This presentation will review how you can determine risk. Batavia has 2 main flooding risks: overflow from the Tonawanda Creek and local ponding. The Tonawanda Creek runs through Batavia, and rain and snow melt have caused flooding on several occasions. In December 2014, the creek crested to over 11 feet. A crest of 10 feet is considered flood conditions, a state the Tonawanda has reached 24 times in the nearly 65 years that the National Weather Service has been measuring creek levels. To better understand the powerful force of the Tonawanda during flooding, click below to watch a video of the creek from December 2014. Because of the Tonawanda Creek and its history of flooding, a significant portion of Batavia is in the Special Flood Hazard Area, or SFHA. In the map shown here, the yellow line indicates the city boundaries, and the areas in red are in the SFHA. You may have heard the SFHA referred to as the 100-year flood zone. This is misleading, as the assumption is usually made that this area is only at risk of flooding every 100 years. Think of it as the 1% flood zone using this illustration. If I place 99 yellow balls and 1 red ball in a jar and blindly draw 1 ball and place it back in the jar, I might never draw the red ball. However, I could also draw the red ball 2 out of 10 times or 5 out of 10 times. I really don't know. I do know there is always a 1% chance that I will draw the red ball. This is the same concept as the 100-year flood zone. We are always at a 1% risk of flooding. The fact that the Tonawanda has reached flooding levels 24 times in 65 years demonstrates that Batavia's average yearly flooding risk has proven to be much more often than every 100 years. Another flooding risk that our city shares with many in the northern United States is risks associated with early winter and spring thaw. These include ice jams. Those are long cold spells that we have here cause the surface of the creek to freeze. When a rise in the water level of a thaw breaks that ice into large chunks, those chunks can become jammed at man-made and natural obstructions and can result in severe flooding. Secondly, snow melt. A midwinter thaw can produce large amounts of runoff in a short period of time. Because the ground is hard and frozen, water cannot be reabsorbed. The water then runs off the surface and flows into the creek or ponds in low-lying areas. The same thing happens with spring thaw. During the spring, frozen land prevents melting snow or rainfall from seeping into the ground. Each cubic foot of compacted snow contains gallons of water, and once the snow melts, it can result in severe flooding, especially when coupled with a strong spring storm. So, how do you know if your home is in danger of flooding? FEMA takes 2 items into consideration when assigning properties into the SFHA. One is a flood insurance study, which assesses the flooding risks of a community along with base flood elevations, flood zones, and floodplain boundaries within the city's borders. This information is used to create a flood insurance rate map, or FIRM. Batavia's FIRM was created by FEMA in 1982, and a copy can be found on the city's website under the Flood Information tab on the home page. The map can also be viewed at the city's Bureau of Inspection and at the Richmond Memorial Library. The FIRM shows the SFHA boundaries in the city of Batavia. The city's inspection department at City Hall can also help you determine whether your home is in the SFHA. Call 585-345-6345 to reach that department. It's important to remember that all properties are in a floodplain. Some are just less likely to flood than others. The next presentation, 2 of 5 in this series, talks about making sure your property is properly insured for flooding risks.